Good morrow, my dear. Come sit with me. I have secured us the least offensive wine in the building, which is still an insult to grapes everywhere, but it will serve. You'll need it for what I'm about to tell you. While you've been living your peaceful little life, thinking the English court is simply functioning, it is not. It is quietly replacing one disaster with another and calling it progress. And at the center of this slow-moving catastrophe is Jane Seymour. I know. You were expecting someone with a pulse. No, my dear. Jane is what happens when ambition decides to whisper instead of speak and somehow gets taken more seriously for it. She has all the presence of a polite draft. You don't notice her until suddenly the room feels different and you cannot quite explain why. And that is precisely her talent. While Anne Boleyn was busy dazzling the king into emotional collapse, Jane has been standing just far enough away to look harmless and just close enough to be next. Not exciting, not dramatic, certainly not memorable, which, as it turns out, is exactly what the king wants right now. And honestly, I cannot blame him. After Anne, the man looks like he needs a nap and a simpler personality in the room. Now, don't misunderstand me. Jane is not stupid. Oh, no. That would at least be interesting. She is something far more effective. She is patient in the way a trap is patient. She does not chase the crown. She simply stands very still and allows it to roll toward her while everyone else exhausts themselves. It's almost admirable. Almost. If it weren't so offensively dull. Now behind me, my husband, yes, he's here. Try to contain your disappointment. He's currently attempting to have a discussion with that gentleman about politics, which is bold of him, considering his history with coherent thought. He told me earlier, in all sincerity, I think Jane seems gentle. Gentle. I did pause. I'll give him that, because I wanted to be absolutely certain he intended to say something so profoundly unhelpful. Gentle, I told him. So is furniture, darling, and yet I do not see the king pledging his devotion to a chair. He blinked at me as though I had struck him with reason. It was a rare and beautiful moment. But back to the real matter. While Jane is standing there perfecting the art of doing absolutely nothing, Anne is still doing everything. And that, my dear, is the problem. Anne is still clever, still sharp, still just unpredictable enough to make a king feel like he's chasing something rather than owning it. And once a man like Henry feels he owns you, the game is over, whether you realize it or not. She hasn't changed. He has. And worse, he's bored. Which is the most dangerous mood a man like that can have. Not angry, not heartbroken, bored. Because boredom makes him creative. And his creativity tends to end in paperwork and executions. He has not fallen out of love, you see. That would require depth. No, he has simply redirected his attention, like a child setting down one toy to pick up another. Except in this case, the toys are wives, and the consequences are historically significant. Jane requires nothing from him. No wit, no effort, no emotional stamina. She simply looks at him as though he is magnificent and says very little, which for Henry feels like peace. Anne, on the other hand, requires engagement. She challenges him, teases him, makes him feel things that are far too complicated for a man who prefers admiration served plainly and without seasoning. So now we arrive at the truly delicious part of this unfolding disaster. Anne sees it. Of course she does. You do not survive this long at court without sensing the shift in the room. That subtle moment when the air changes and suddenly you are no longer the center of attention, but the subject of it. She is still playing the same game, still dazzling, still resisting, still believing that the very fire that brought her here will keep her safe. And that, my dear, is where it all begins to unravel, because the king is no longer in the mood for fire. He wants calm. He wants obedience. He wants a woman who will not remind him that once he had to work for her. He wants Jane. Now, my lord husband, in a moment of bravery I cannot fully explain, asked me whether Jane loves him. I did laugh. I had to. Because Jane does not even love conversation, let alone a man. No, what Jane loves is survival, and possibly a crown, should one happen to fall into her lap while she is standing there looking appropriately modest about it. And the court? Oh, they are already adjusting. You can see it in the way people speak, in the way they look at her, in the way Anne is no longer approached with quite the same enthusiasm. It is subtle, it is quiet, and it is absolutely fatal. Courts do not collapse all at once. That would be merciful. They unravel slowly, one choice at a time, until suddenly you realize the ground beneath you is no longer stable and no one is coming to fix it. Jane waits. Anne burns. And the king drifts exactly where he always does, toward the next woman who makes his life easier, just before it becomes infinitely worse. So, let's drink to Jane Seymour, shall we? May her simplicity remain convincing, and as for the rest of them, I suggest we keep our seats, refill our cups, and watch closely, because nothing in England is more dangerous than a quiet woman and a bored king sharing the same room. Now, my dears, do remember to keep your crown straight and your head attached.